I am sick and tired of the national stigma of Kentucky, the backward Kentucky, the redneck Kentucky, the fact that folks that are working extremely hard, killing themselves to pull coal out of a mountain, they're just ran over by politicians, by society. They don't have the opportunities down there that we have in central Kentucky even. I post a lot of things online that are our jokes. We get to make fun of ourselves. And that's one of my favorite things to do is I like to put on the hillbilly outfit, put on the bib overalls and carry a jug of moonshine and make a TikTok about it because we get to laugh at ourselves. And that's what our Instagram says is that this is one big inside joke for Kentuckians. That's it. This isn't for Ohio to come laugh at us, or Tennessee, whatever else, even though we'll take it. But if I can pull that stigma back that we're uneducated hillbillies by any level, by making fun of it, by not being that, by being a presence for Kentucky online, that's what I want to do.
Rick and Joni Paynter, hey, welcome, guys.
Thanks.
I love when, nobody recognizes Northern Kentucky because we don't all have one. So y'all don't. You think Lexington and Fayette County special. You think that Jefferson County and Louisville special. Just for the record, we're pretty special up here, too.
Hey, I couldn't agree more.
We got some cool stuff going on.
We had a store in Covington, and I learned it, and I came up here and spent a lot of time, and goodness sakes, it is an island, but it's charming. It's amazing.
Isn't it more... It actually is more legitimate than people around the state give it credit for. There's more happening here than people are like, oh, it's just a little part of the state. Hey, come on now. We're a little more part of the state. There's things happening. And so we have this identity crisis, though, because Cincinnati's sitting right there. Right. We don't know who we want to be a part of. But I like when my Kentucky folks come up here and spend time with us. You bring more spirit of the bluegrass and a little bit more of this accent up to us, right?
That's right.
So the Kentucky shop. I knew you guys a long time ago as I think like Kentucky Local or something.
Yeah, it was originally Shop Local Kentucky was the original name.
There you go.
Of it, yeah.
I remember people stopping down to your shop in Covington. Wasn't it in a warehouse there in Covington?
It was actually
on Russell.
No, it was on Pike Street.
Okay.
So it was right on Pike Street, right there. We were there 6 months because of COVID.
Wow.
So
welcome to the party of 2020.
We had a short-lived venture there.
Well, welcome up here, guys, to Kentucky Shop. You guys are going to have a good story. I want to hear the good, as much of the bad as you'll share. And this journey from just normal folks that started in 2013 with an idea and how that idea evolved and how it changed. And it doesn't look like now what originally you thought it was going to be, right, with it being an app and developed on the web. And so I think that's the story of entrepreneurship, that you guys are here 11 years later, still figuring out how to do this in new ways all the time, building a family, building dream homes, traveling to the Virgin Islands. Through all the struggle, it still seems like it's a really good life you've built.
Sure.
So we want to hear the story, the good, the bad, the ugly, and about your new trucker-style hat that you sold 1,000 of last month, right? Come buy hats from us.
Something like that.
Yeah. So while they're enjoying hearing us on whatever platform, what's the best place they can go to buy one of these hats or shirts that we're going to be talking about this whole time?
TheKYShop.com.
There it is, guys. Go buy one, and we'll hit them at the end. So 2013, what in the world could you have thought 11 years later we're sitting right?
No, it's.
And Joni, we're gonna make you talk today too. We're gonna do that's our promise.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. We'll get her fired up.
We've been trying.
So 2013.
It probably, honestly, we started probably 2012 would be a good spot.
When did you guys get together?
What year was that?
We had a child in 2010.
Okay, so this is a real full.
Okay, so we're going all the way back.
This is a real full journey together. So 2
Sure.
years even after you guys had a kid, this idea starts to happen.
Sure, yeah. So first started out, like I mentioned, we kind of were untraditional and met, as bartenders at Logan's Roadhouse. From there, we developed a friendship, and then we decided to take that friendship to the next level, and we decided baby was the next step for some reason. I'm not really sure, a little surprised. But, we had a baby, and I got a job selling tires. It was really wonderful. My dad worked for a tire company in Lexington, so I was making $12 an hour selling tires, and we were living the dream out of a one-bedroom apartment in Lexington. So from there, my dad had a falling out with the owners of the tire company, and I got fired a week before our honeymoon, actually, a week before our wedding, week before our honeymoon. So, needless to say, like I mentioned, we went down to the Virgin Islands, sat on a beach, and sulked a little bit, and came back. And basically, I'd always wanted to be in web design. That was growing up what I was blessed at, as far as in high school, that sort of thing. And so I didn't know it all. I didn't go to college for that. I got a degree in psychology. And so she started bartending at nighttime, and I went to Books A Million, bought every book I could on HTML and JavaScript and CSS and whatever else, and kind of started tinkering around. Basically launched a marketing company from our living room. And again, we were bartending both at the time, and it kind of took off a little bit. I realized that small businesses could use somebody that could make affordable websites for them, rather than the companies that I had worked for. They were charging thousands and thousands of dollars for websites at that time. And so about that time, a little app called Instagram popped up, and my wife and I, we decided, okay, well, this is great that we're doing this side hustle, but we need like benefits and insurance for our kid and like all these sort of security things that we're not able to afford, unfortunately. So I got a job at the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce up in Frankfort in marketing. Worked there for about a year and a half. Turns out I don't like politics too much, so I decided to start an app. And the app was based off of what the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce already did, which was connect business owners from across the state. But my idea was a little bit different. We're not going to send them to a conference in Louisville together. We're going to connect them through an app where a ice cream shop in Pikeville could connect with an ice cream shop in Paducah, share what they're doing, share how they're doing it, and working together. And it turns out people are a little more selfish than that with their own businesses. So we went to launch this app, and it was a massive failure. We launched it out there. Nobody wanted to use it. Nobody had the extra time. They were all trying to figure out Facebook and this new app again, Instagram. And so I was like, I'm just going to start posting pictures of Kentucky. And so I would just post pictures of wherever I was. I was traveling a lot for the chamber at that time. So if I were in Wilmore, post a picture of Wilmore and pretty picture, whatever. And it sort of grew to about 20,000 followers within about 6 months. And we were like, okay, there has to be something here. If the app isn't it, what is it? And we've always had a heart for charity. So we decided we're going to make T-shirts. I'd grown up. I had made T-shirts as a kid, worked in a T-shirt shop. My dad co-owned one. And so we bought a little press, put it in our garage, and decided that we were going to connect with a local charity to sell some T-shirts. It's called the Toy Chest Children's Charity. And it basically provided socks, underwear, that kind of stuff for kids in eastern Kentucky and central Kentucky. And so I built a little rinky-dink website, e-commerce site. It had like one product on it. And so we put the product out there, posted on social media, on Instagram in the early days, which there was no algorithm at this point. And we sell out with like in an hour. And I'm at work. I'm at like the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce at my desk job. And she's texting me going like, hey, you might want to check the website because you're overselling currently. And I thought, there's no way that this many people came and bought this. And so we didn't know how to ship anything. We had no idea how to do anything. We didn't have the T-shirts done already, so we needed to print them. I'd only, like I said, put 100 in stock. So essentially, we sold out. We printed the T-shirts. We gave 100% of the funds to charity, and we looked at each other and said, let's make T-shirts. And from there, it was just kind of a wild ride for 2 years-ish of going to every festival fair around the state that would have us. And, and we sold online, but it was mainly us going to night markets on Friday night or the Bluegrass Festival down the road or whatever else. And honestly, just traveling around meeting people. That was sort of the core of how we got started and how we decided that this is what we're going to do. So
was it fun?
Sometimes. There were a lot of really hot days, a lot of long days.
Did you have the baby with you?
Not at that point.
Okay. No. She, so when I was at the chamber, she got pregnant with our second kid. And so the funny thing about this is that we almost quit at one point because we were at a festival. We had every bit of merchandise that we had printed, owned. We had about $500 in our bank account at that point. And we go to the Bluegrass Festival up in Louisville, and a storm came in that I've never witnessed before in my entire life. It was like a hurricane came through there, and she's like 8 months pregnant, and we're standing under a tent just holding on to it for dear life. We'd spent $300 on that tent that morning. Like I said, we had $500 left to our name. The tent just gets decimated. and blown away. All of our merchandise ruined. It just blown completely away, muddy, everything else. So we were safe, fortunately, but we just pack up our car and head home. On the drive home, it was kind of an eerie thing because we're both talking about quitting this whole thing. And we're like, this isn't it. This isn't it. Let's go home. Let's get normal day jobs. This isn't our lifestyle. And a motorcycle passes us coming down 64, 75, whatever, 64, and wrecks. And he ends up, he dies on the side of the road in front of us. And we're going, oh my gosh, life is a short thing. And that was sort of one of those moments where we looked at each other and go, are we really going to quit this? And, I don't take that lightly that someone passed away, obviously, but like seeing that in person on that sort of moment, we were like, we only get one life. You only get one life. Let's go. And so we got back home, we regrouped, and we took that $500 and put it back into the business, and kind of didn't look back from there. It was just from then on, it was all we were going to do. That was it.
Do you think if that moment doesn't happen, does something else cause you not to quit, or do you think you were done?
What about you? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I think we would have kept going.
Think so?
Yeah.
It was just a moment of tears and crying, and
Yeah, there's
It
a lot
was.
of emotion. Hormones.
Yeah. yeah. She's 8 months pregnant. We're trying to figure out how to support a new baby, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't know if it was that. For me, it was kind of a moment of humanity, of going like, okay, this can end at any time, this whole thing. So we need to do what we want with our time when we're here. And that was essentially what led us to, me at least.
Was that the closest you guys came to quitting? I'm not asking every thought you've had, because entrepreneurs have the thoughts. Or was there other moments? Joni, I think there was maybe some other moments here.
I don't know.
She's such an optimistic force that, honestly,
I would keep going.
she would keep going no matter what.
Regardless.
Yes.
Cardboard box type of stuff. You just
Yep.
keep going.
Yep.
Where does
that's
that
her.
come from? Have you thought about it? Because it comes from somewhere. I mean, whether it's somebody that impacted you as a kid, whether it's you two getting together and then this inspired life. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like I get a lot of my work ethic
Yep.
from my dad. He's very hardworking.
Yeah.
He's a mechanic.
Positive guy too.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Are we allowed to talk if he's a good father-in-law or not? Was he always accepting? It's okay if he wasn't.
Yes, we're two different people. I'll say it that way, as sons and father-in-laws tend to be a lot of times.
Is he happy now?
Yeah, definitely.
He's
Yeah.
happy now.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think he worried when somebody comes to you and tells you, "Hey, we're gonna make T-shirts in our garage." That's
And you got fired from a tire store.
yeah.
I mean, let's be real. First, you're having a baby with his daughter before you get married.
Yeah.
You're painting me so well.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you. I mean, this is how a father-in-law is going to look at it, right? This is his baby. I mean, I'm just saying. So
I get it. I got
and,
two girls.
See, so just remember
Right.
that future guy
Yeah.
when he gets fired from like making smoothies or something. Don't totally question everything about his life. You can have a conversation with him, but you get fired from the tire shop. You guys are investing everything you have financially into making T-shirts, right? There's going to be, this is what the world does, though. It questions us,
Mhm.
right? And then I said, hey, give me one word to describe yourself before we sat down. You're like, grit.
Yeah.
Did you always know that?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
What's it mean to you? What's grit mean to you?
Since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be in business. I had short little side hustles, depending on what they were in high school. I did car stereo installation when Fast and Furious came out, and it was kind of the rage. And I was the only person in Clark County that knew how to wire a car stereo, that sort of thing. And I always wanted, my dad was an entrepreneur, so I always wanted to have that independence that I saw him have as a kid, which wasn't necessarily financial independence. It was the independence to be able to go and do what he wanted when he wanted with his time. So for me, that's what it's always driven me to, is that I want to do the most with my time, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of head down time and a lot of times that other people wouldn't want to be here in order to get
Yeah.
there.
If you love what you do, it makes it.
Yeah, right.
Think that's good? Did you love it before? That's the big question, though. So you're so nice. I can't be mean to Joni all day. I'll
Exactly.
try not to have tough questions, but the tough part about that statement is that there's a lot of time that it doesn't feel like you love it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's just weird, isn't it, to say like it's what we love, but it's like, man, there's a lot of times when you're willing and you have to do things
Sure.
that others just aren't willing to do.
Right.
So maybe there's a love of the idea of what the thing can be. I don't know. What's our thought about it? Do you love it the way that she said? Maybe do you love the idea of entrepreneurship? Do you just love making t-shirts? Do you love the business? What is it that you love?
You know, I don't know that I necessarily love the t-shirt business as a whole.
Yeah.
I love what we do. And it sounds hokey, and people, recognize obviously online that I talk about Kentucky nonstop. I really love Kentucky. I really, really do. I love the place that we're from. I've traveled the entirety of the state. We've done charitable drives for, every part of the state. I've met a lot of people across Kentucky, and I just don't think there is a more of a place that could feel home to me necessarily. And I won't say that for everybody, because obviously everybody loves and hates.
We'll fight over the table.
Exactly,
We're going to fight.
Exactly.
But
for me, I love Kentucky. So therefore, I get to go out every day and promote a place I love, whether it be through a t-shirt or social media posts or whatever else. And that's kind of always been with me since I worked at the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce.
Why do you love it?
Why?
Yeah, why?
So
I've been in 43 states in this country. Traveled, so I've been around a lot too.
Right.
But why do you love it? And I'm not. It might sound like an argument. It's not, but I want to know why Rick loves it.
Why I love Kentucky, outside of the traditions. Yeah. So we're talking basketball, football,
and horses.
We're real big in football.
I
didn't know if y'all knew. Horses, bourbon, so on and so forth.
Lost to Georgia at one point last week.
That's true, and my mentions are pretty dirty about that right now. But I think that the reason I love Kentucky is that I've traveled around quite a bit. Probably Colorado being my second favorite state. I love to ski. But I've traveled around quite a bit, and there's just nowhere else that I would want to put my roots. I feel like it's where I want my family to be and where I want them to be from. I think that there's something, and again, I'm not putting down anywhere else.
Go there.
There's something better about being a Kentuckian. That's how I feel. And that's why we've made our motto, life is better in Kentucky. And, it wasn't necessarily financially better or better well off because, we have our own problems and poverty and so on and so forth. It was just because I love the place and I can't explain that, It's where I was born and raised. It's where I've raised my kids. It's probably where I'm dying. So
if you're lucky, right?
If I'm lucky, they'll bury me there, spread me there, whatever they do.
You always know when people are telling the truth about things like that, because when you smile, mm-hmm. when you're talking about something that you really care about, it's genuine.
Sure.
And the whole time you were talking about it, you were smiling through talking.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the best place, because I tend to agree with you too. But I don't know if it's the best place, because there's a lot of people that say their best place is. It just matters that you believe it is.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I know about life. Like, be careful about what you believe, because it could be negative, because it'll come true. But be careful what your mindset is. Be careful the things you think about, because that's what you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to believe. It's what you're going to buy into.
Sure.
And so since you think Kentucky's the best place to be, the Kentucky shop must be the best business.
Arguably the best. I think we do much better than our competitors, and I will say that from a standpoint of I think that we care more. That's it.
Is that it? When I'd say you do it better, is it because you care?
It's because we care.
Yeah.
It's because we care. You call customer service or email customer service, you get her, and that's it. If you DM somebody on social media, you're not getting the social media manager, you're getting me. So that's been a little bit of, I think, the magic of the business is that there's two people that people can go like, oh, Rick and Joni, I know them. I can send them an email and they'll do something for me to a shirt, custom color, custom whatever, as opposed to, a larger business where they're going through customer service and corporate and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We never wanted that. Even when we had a lot of employees, it was always still just us handling the customers because we don't think that we think we should. That's what connects us. And honestly, most of our early, ideas and stuff like that was based on customer feedback, what they want and what they see as cool and hip, not what I care that's cool on a t-shirt. And that's kind of the mentality that we've always had is, I tend to like brands that are really, really out there and weird and eclectic and stuff like that. That's not the stuff that's going to sell to our customers. So I have to listen to them. And that's really what I think that we've done a good job over the years is just connecting and listening.
So why do you think you've made it 11 years? You could say, well, just because of what I said, but it's more, but why'd you make it 11 years? How'd you make it 11 years? This business. He's so good, Joni. You're good for like the next week.
Yeah, maybe.
How'd How have you guys made 11 years? So many businesses fail.
I would say change. We've changed the model over and over and over again, and we have ran it completely debt free the entire time. There's outside of our mortgage on our warehouse in downtown Lexington right now. We've not bought a piece of equipment that we couldn't pay cash for. We've not bought T-shirts that we couldn't pay cash for and take credit. We shelves, whatever you had. Since the beginning, we made that our pledge. We are doing this debt free because. Not because we didn't trust ourselves with credit by any stretch, but I didn't want to owe anybody anything. I wanted it all to be mine on the back end and not have to go, oh, now I have to peel this off. Now I have to peel that off. I've got a lease on this equipment, that equipment.
Yeah,
So
I think a lot of people take a different route in that of like, oh, it's okay. It's just this much a month, this much a month. But that all adds up. And we never wanted that.
And I think it was because, and not necessarily because we wanted to be the biggest thing in the entire world, but I didn't ever want the stress that if I want to slow the business down for a month, pull some ads, hang out, and enjoy my life, that it wasn't something that was gonna cripple us with debt, So we were never of the mindset that I definitely wasn't the mindset I want to grow this thing the biggest I can, all that kind of stuff at one point, probably 2015, 16. But outside of that was never the mindset that we just have to do this certain amount in order to live this certain lifestyle. It's been an ebb and flow every single month, and we've had down times. We've closed stores. We had 2 cars run through our stores in Louisville and Lexington, So there's definitely been moments of like, hey, this isn't going to work for us anymore. But as far as staying in business 11 years, I think it's just been that we love it. We don't want to do anything else. So we're going to do anything we can in order to keep it there.
Do you just love the idea of determining your own outcome and destiny?
Yeah.
You think that's it?
It could be, yeah.
Because if it's not just a love for T-shirts, right?
No.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just a love for a business and, maybe the fervor of, again, dictating your life, making your decisions, not, living the life that someone else is telling you to live.
Right.
So what's this idea for? So you have way fewer employees now than you've ever had. Talk about this journey of, and if you're a little too mean to employees, I'll pull it back just a little bit more. Because what I'll say a couple times is, hey, remember, we were employees too.
Sure.
Right. That's tough to lose sight of that, I think, at times.
Right.
This journey of going from just you two to having over 30 employees to now having 8. Mm-hmm. Talk about that journey of leaders, employers, being responsible for other human beings.
Right.
Talk about this. Mr. Mean Guy.
Mr. Mean Guy. I am the mean one. So, my ambition became really big in 2015, 2016. I wanted, we had just done a pop-up shop and it went well. So we built our store in Lexington. And the way I saw it forward, what?
Go ahead. It was supposed to be a temporary store. And the day it opened, I looked at Rick and I was like, this isn't temporary, is it? And he said, no.
I pitched it to her as temporary. So, needless to say, I signed a lease with her.
You've had to have more faith with this going on with you guys, right?
It's very blind faith with me.
What an honorable human, huh? Good job, Joni. So, she's smart, though.
Yes.
When she looked at you and she said, this isn't temporary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she knew that. We opened that store, and then after that, the ambition was, okay, we can do this in other parts of the state and even be local to those parts of the states, do shirts for Bowling Green, do shirts specifically for Louisville, Covington, so on and so forth. So that became my ambition and drive. And so first was Louisville. We built the Louisville store, and it was, again, a temporary pop-up.
Was it?
It actually was.
Okay.
That one actually was.
Okay.
The space was only available for 4 months, and they weren't going to have us any longer than that. And so we made it through the Christmas season 3 months, and on January 1st, a drunk driver drove to the store and absolutely decimated the whole building, condemned it for, it was a year that we couldn't even go in the building. So that shut the Louisville store down, and that led me to Bowling Green and Covington. And with that, you had to build the infrastructure out. So we had to build out the fact that we needed not just one printing press, we needed 3. We needed another oven. We needed more employees to run those printing presses in order to do more. At that point, I wanted to be in the college licensing business. So I went out and I got every college license I possibly could. And so, again, adding more SKUs, you begin going kind of down this route of crazy town of your website, getting very, very, very busy with a lot of stuff, but yet you're catering to different parts of the state. So once we built the infrastructure at home, I physically went down and actually built the Bowling Green store myself. I wasn't going to pay somebody to do it. I went to Covington, built it myself. Wasn't going to pay somebody to do it. And
I didn't even see the Covington store until the weekend it opened.
Yeah,
I didn't even see the space.
Very true. And so obviously with that comes more employees. And so at that point, we open all the stores up. This is 2019, and they're going okay, as new stores would be. You have to do a certain amount of advertising, that sort of thing. And, at that point, I think right before COVID, then we looked at each other and realized this is not what we were aiming for at all. This isn't it.
This isn't the life.
Yeah, and you can't just close down a store
Yep.
that you just spent half a year building.
Yep.
You can't just fire employees because they have lives and families to support and things like that. And at that point, we were doing the most business that we'd ever done as well, not net, gross. And so we realized at that point that we were kind of a duck sitting on water, just paddling as quick as we could, getting nowhere. And, March rolled around 2020, and I'll be honest, it gave us an excuse. It gave us the excuse. It wasn't that the stores were going to fail. They weren't. They would have done fine if I just would have put the effort into it. But it gave us an excuse, and we said, let's just be done. Let's just be done with that.
So for you guys, it was a blessing.
Well, I mean, not COVID, but I hate saying that. But
You're saying you guys didn't cause it. You're not the reason for it.
No.
Right? Things show up, and in business, you have decisions to make.
Sure.
And that was a moment that gave you an out.
Yep.
Yes.
So we got to own and be honest about these things, and you are.
That's true.
It's like, hey, because you guys wouldn't be sitting here living the lives that you are today if you would have continued to have to commit and go all into these different parts of the state.
Sure.
And the requirement and the demands that would have been on you guys to do it, you might not be sitting here smiling and happy and healthy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I can guarantee that.
Right.
Or married.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
going to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
It taxes that. If you're gone all the time, it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right?
And
we
then
were used to having a store that was, a mile away from our warehouse.
at that point, yeah.
And it was like, okay, we need to stock. We'll load up everybody's cars. Go stock the store. That's fine. But when it costs $32 to ship a box down to Bowling Green and you need to send 20, 30 boxes a week, it's impossible. Either that or you're going to be on the road all the time.
All right, and that's adding another employee and buying a box truck and all that stuff.
All
And
the things.
it just wasn't doing the volume either that it needed to do in the beginning. And what we realized was that maybe necessarily those people in Bowling Green or in Covington don't want to go down to Pike Street and shop. They might just want to log onto their phone and shop, and that's much easier and much more convenient. And obviously, with COVID, social distancing measures and everything else, we had to kind of do that in our store in Lexington, but there was no way to do that and oversee it and make sure that we were doing things following guidelines, that sort of stuff in Covington and Bowling Green. And then managing people from 2 hours away is
It's a lot.
nearly impossible.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible unless you've got some sort of infrastructure down there.
Unless you raise some managers up through the business that have the same principles and values,
Sure.
that have complete buy-in. And then, you have to, the unfortunate part is, too, you have to incentivize people, unfortunately, before they've really earned it. That's a tough part of an entrepreneur as you're growing up. Like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't get any of these benefits until I went all in for years. But everyone else that isn't you, they want it on the front end
Mhm.
before they've earned it.
Right.
Right. And so there's some challenging things you have to learn, right? Being a
Right.
boss, being an employer. And you always wonder, like, why don't they care more? Why aren't they working harder? If it was me, I'd be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have
Yeah.
spent countless nights just being at the warehouse until 9 p.m. of like just begging, like, somebody else help me, please. And he's like, no one is ever going to care as much as you do. And it took me a long time to accept that.
It took Gary V's podcast for me to accept that.
Did it?
Honestly, just back in the day, listened to it, and he's like, "Nobody's gonna give a crap as much as you,"
Oh,
And I'm like,
hold on,
"Yep."
no, Rick, you hit something. Here's the thing. I've been on this one. All right. So I agree that the majority of humans, that is their default. Because Gary V actually says,
Mhm.
as a business owner, you can't expect them to care as much as you.
Right.
Because they don't own it. They don't have as much upside, but hold on. But that's the only way that they can achieve the dreams that they want. Because every job I had, guys, I did work like the owner. That's the only way.
But is that your mindset? Because you're sitting right here.
No, I
doing
think
that,
I think it's your mindset too. Because I
Right.
bet when you were in the tire store,
Oh, I wanted to sell the most.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I love Gary Vee.
Sure. Yeah. I get
However, I think that's the only thing I've ever said about him that I think is BS, and he's taking an easy way out to make people feel okay about themselves.
Sure.
The reality is every employee, if someday they want to be the manager, if someday they have an idea of living a financially free life, they better work like the owner.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They better care like the owner.
I agree.
And so I can accept that most people won't, but I'm not going to have that conversation with them anymore. I'm going to look at everybody and say, hey, I understand you're exchanging your time right now for a wage right now. But if you ever want more than that, you better start looking at how I behave.
Mm-hmm.
You better start listening to the stories about what it took, because that's what it's going to take.
Sure.
And if you'll look at things a little different and you'll go all in a little bit more like me, you're going to find people like me that actually want to take care of people like you.
Yeah.
And then when we do that, your life starts to end up looking a little bit like mine.
Right.
So we need to start talking to him that way. And I think maybe we were scared to or didn't.
Well,
But maybe Rick does.
I like this.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, the thing about it is, too, is that people, employees.
Yep. And we were one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And employees, they do a good job of, I won't say putting up a facade, but, you know, for me, trusting people is a hard thing. I can go in my counseling from my childhood. Trusting people is a hard thing. And trusting people with the keys to your business is a very hard thing when you've been the one that worked so hard on it. And there have been quite a few people that we've honestly just very much so trusted and thought that they loved our
Screwed you over.
business. Yep. There you go. So,
Guys, I just think that, so this same story, it's a story of every business. It's a story of all of us, right, on the way up. But I think the error that we made, we didn't talk to people serious the way I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to tell them, like, hey, listen, if you want to be an employee the rest of your life, that's fine. You can clock in and clock out. I have an expectation of your diligence and a sense of urgency throughout the day, but you can do that, and you can go home at 4 or 5 o'clock and not have to worry about this place. But if anything ever triggers in your mind that you want more, then more's expected.
Right. Yep.
Then the responsibility is on you. The responsibility isn't on me to give you a raise because you want a raise. The responsibility is on me to give you a raise when you earn it, and I will show you how to change your life. But the responsibility is on you. Until then, I'm going to treat you like an employee.
Yep.
Right.
The moment that you raise your hand and you want to start being treated different, then we'll have a conversation about it.
Sure.
I don't know why. I think we had to learn this, but I don't think we were confident enough and scared probably. We don't want to run people off. We don't want to insult them. It's like, no, but we actually should mentor them, though.
Yeah. Well, if John's not printing the shirt, guess who is?
You are.
It's me. And I don't
100%.
want to print it.
Yeah.
So therefore, you do put up with that in a roundabout way and go, okay, it's fine. And I'm not talking about being 5 minutes
Yeah.
late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You put up with the attitudes, you put up with the bad situations. And for us, you know, when we were at that peak of, 30 plus employees, I was miserable. And I was miserable, honestly, inside because I felt very responsible for everything and everybody. And I didn't like that feeling responsible for people that a lot of them didn't take responsibility.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it became a big burden for me personally because I was the one kind of handling it at that point, and it wasn't fun.
But you feel different now.
A little bit.
I think the 8 employees, but here's what I bet. I bet the 39/40-year-old Rick, if you ever build this thing back up to 30-something employees, you're going to lead them different.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from experience from me, right? And once you accept the fact that humans are the way they are, that you shouldn't have any expectation. You got to learn that from Gary Vee too.
Yeah, I got there.
Because he's like, the place of happiness is having zero expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's hard. But if you have zero expectations, then that means I just meet you where you're at.
Yep.
Right? And I don't have to accept what you're doing, but I have zero expectations that you're going to be any different than the person you're showing me today.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You could probably manage 300 better than you manage the 30 now. His new book's amazing, by the way. You're a marketing guy.
I haven't seen you.
It's so
To
good.
pick up the audio.
It's so good, yeah. What has it all been worth it?
I'll let her answer.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we have, over the years, we've done some amazing things as a
You guys have
company.
raised $1.4 million for charity
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But so you think it's been worth it? She said absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we've come into contact with just some beautiful people in the state and further, and it has just opened my mind to a lot more than I thought was a bit out there.
Yeah.
Talk about opening your mind.
I guess I would just say it was easy to become a callous person after everything that we had gone through and been through, but just seeing through a lot of the charitable drives that we've done, just seeing the community come together and open up, and we've seen some really beautiful moments, and it is just mind blowing how everybody, if you open yourself up and allow it, you can come together and do amazing things.
There's the good part of the painters right there.
There it is.
So I think here's why when you say absolutely, I think in the grind of being entrepreneurs, we lose track of the life we wouldn't have if you hadn't been traveling this journey.
Sure. Yeah, I get you.
I mean,
get you.
Guys, you have options and choices in your life and a brain that's evolved and developed about knowing what's possible and what you can do and controlling your life. That if you wouldn't have gone down this path, you wouldn't have known.
No.
Like houses you get to live, things you get to teach your kid. Like you said that your youngest, at 9 years old, they could run the business.
Yes.
Right? And so what that is preparing, is it girl or boy?
Girl.
Okay. What that's preparing her to become as a 16, 18, 20, 22-year-old human, you're putting her so many steps ahead of how to operate in this world successfully from a confidence standpoint, from self-esteem, than most kids have an opportunity to.
Right.
So when you said absolutely, I think we do, because it is hard being an entrepreneur, because it never stops.
Right.
You wake up to it. It's on your mind when you're sleeping. You know, there's a lot of pressure all the time. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So she said absolutely. So what's your answer? Was it worth it?
Was it worth it? Yes.
You've altered that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll say it's worth it because in hindsight, it came with a lot of sacrifice. I mean, it did come with a lot of sacrifice, and leading to us having the freedom of schedule and the freedom of kind of life right now. It took a lot of really, really hard nights. One I'll give you is she was 9 months pregnant, and we were still working out of our house. Her water breaks, and we're still packing orders. And I'm like, this is who I am. I'm like, get your stuff. We're going to the hospital. She looks at me and says, we're not going to the hospital until these next 100 orders. We're going to be in the hospital
for a few days. The packages had to go out.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm going to be in the hospital a few days, but the packages got to go out. So for me, that was very difficult, and it was much more difficult for her. But she's sitting there on the floor, water broken, packing packages, and we're going like, I'm saying, like, is this what I want? Because my wife is really, she's pretty obsessed right now. I mean, she's in pain on the floor, packing packages. So as far as sacrifice goes, the next 2 days I was in the hospital very little. And saw my daughter very little because I had to be outside running the business. There was no one else. So it's those sort of things that you think about through the years, and you go like, okay, was it worth it? Did I really miss something? And I've got a lot of those moments with my kids. That's just the bottom line, is that I had to work 100 hours a week. So I won't say that she didn't work 100 hours a week. She was working 100 hours a week with 2 kids on her hips. So it's just, for me, I think I have a different perspective than her because I did miss out on so much early on. And I do have those regrets. So it's only related to my kids, really.
But here's the thing. Like, what are we trying to solve for, though? I'll go somewhere with this, but every time somebody comes to me with a problem, we have this conversation. I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, what are we solving for? For you to say, hey, I have some regrets. Well, are we talking about when she's 18, when your daughter? Because what I know is she's not going to care.
Oh, no. I'm talking me personally.
I know that, right? Yeah. But I'm like, what are we solving for? Are we solving to make sure when she's 18 that she's awesome? Like, really, no, that she doesn't have regrets that you did those things,
right?
Because that's it. So like, then you shouldn't have any regrets, because at the end of the day, those 2 things that you all brought into this life, like that's really your purpose.
Well, and I am a millennial, so I just lead with guilt and shame everywhere I go.
Here we go, right? I think it's. I just try to go back to this all the time when I'm looking at a problem. Like, hey, what am I solving for here? Like, what's the real problem? So I think the humans that you're raising, and having Joni by your side, like doing this in this calm, nice, collected person. And what I heard about, like, I think everyone's going to hear that story about water breaking. And you're like, no, we have to finish boxing and packaging these. I actually know what people are going to think when they hear that.
Oh goodness.
No, here's the thing, it's no judgment. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
But that's what it takes.
It is.
That's what it takes. If you want to dictate the outcomes of your life, and people want to end up having the choices available to them that are available to you guys, the hard work and the sacrifice is just a given. It just comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it always comes in advance for multiple years before you get to have these moments of extra time in the Virgin Islands where you're not stressed about money. Being able to build the beautiful, awesome home, right?
Right.
Being able to live this life now that you do have choices, but stress comes with it. And then you saying, hey, I then didn't get to spend a lot of time with her in the hospital. So see here, we're talking about the difference of being an employee versus being a successful entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what an employee gets to do. An employee gets to, at that moment, if you're at work boxing and patching stuff, you get to leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get to go to the hospital and you get to go with her. And then you get to spend the next 3 days at the hospital
Mm-hmm.
because it's not on you.
Yep.
People need to know. They don't have to know all the hardship that's going to follow when they start a business, but they have to know there's going to be many, many moments, because you guys are just talking about one moment.
Sure.
There's been thousands,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right? Maybe not as significant as that exact one, but really, really important. That then looks like you guys are an overnight success,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? They haven't seen the pain.
Yeah.
So that's when you're like, well, of course it was. Look at the life we're building. Look at the kids. Look at this. And you're like, I don't know.
Well, and two, the other part about it is because we're so active on social and we've kind of played out our entire existence as far as us as a couple and entrepreneurs and so on and so forth as the face of the business on social, is it's very easy to look at an app like Instagram and say they got it all together. They know exactly what they're doing. Da 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 da. They also didn't see the fist fight that happened while making the Instagram post between me and my wife when we were going at it. Da 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 da. So it's easy to look in from the outside, especially with entrepreneurs. And I'll speak to this: is you had Danos from Danos Seasoning on your show.
You know Dan.
My dad knows him from back in the day.
He's a fun
but
guy, man.
He is.
He was in a bar.
Smart.
Came up with that when he was in a bar, just like you guys bartending.
Hey, I watch your podcast.
Yeah.
On it, so, but I think it's easy for people now to look in on him and go like, oh, he's like a TikTok star and overnight success and everything like that. He was grinding, just like there's so much more behind that than on the surface. And
He was a bartender at a restaurant while he was mixing seasoning at home.
exactly
And as someone at a bar, they're talking about seasoning, right?
right.
And he said, he's like, yeah, man, I think I make the chicken. He's like, well, bring it in. So he brought it in, and they put it on. The guy's like, oh, it's pretty good, man. Like, maybe you should pick this up and do it. He's like, oh, yeah. And then somebody else at the bar designed the logo.
Yeah, it's like it's so strange,
Right?
It's
Just wild.
like,
Just wild.
just happenstance,
Yeah.
you know.
And then, but you hear this story, too. There was a reel that we put out that caught fire. He was talking about how his dad used to talk to him as a baby. Did you see that?
I didn't see that part of it.
It was in the podcast, because these long podcasts, the long form, you can miss these moments.
Sure.
But this team's so good that they find them. Like if you walk back to Dave right now, he's got these moments that they'll put out. And but he said, he even saw it. He said, my dad used to hold me up. It was like in the movie The Lion King, right? But he said, my dad used to hold me up, and everyone was doubting and questioning his dad on being an entrepreneur and in business and things he was trying to accomplish. And he said that his dad told him he used to hold him up and talk to him about how great he was going to be one day. And he said, man, that had to impact me. That had to set in here somewhere to be part. And so you hear those stories. It's like, man, this is not just one moment in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
This is compounded of thousands and thousands and thousands of moments where you just have to keep going regardless of what everyone says about you.
Yep.
Because when you guys started your business, you had so many people like, what are you doing?
Oh, so we got a good one on that.
Let's go. Let's hear it. Because everyone has them.
Well, first, let me start with my family's always been pretty supportive. Okay. I will not bash my family on a podcast, but we did go to Thanksgiving one year when we first started and sat around a table and were absolutely berated with, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? You think you're going to make a living doing this? And I mean, both of us walked out of that Thanksgiving and it was lighthearted. It wasn't like, that they were coming down on us, but both of us walked out of that with our tails tucked between our legs going, well, if they don't believe in us, who's going to, So I definitely, we've had those moments of like, of what are you doing?
How'd that feel? How'd that feel for you being in his families?
I feel like you do question yourself on that of like, well, if these people don't see it, then what are are we crazy? Are we just blind?
How do you
But-
keep going in those moments though, when the people most important to you?
Mm,
Question. How do you keep going?
I feel like we have a lot of faith in each other, and that he's opened multiple stores. He's done crazy things throughout this business, and I have never questioned him in any of it. It's just, we've got this and we're going to do it. And
yeah, we're just leaning on each other.
That's so special.
And I don't think that, that being in business with your partner is hands down, I will say, the hardest thing in the entire world, because it doesn't ever leave. The discussions at 9:00 at night are about the shipping and about this and that and the other, even to this day, and how the TikTok did or whatever else. And so I think having somebody to lean on in that, I don't know that I would have been able to do it alone. I know I wouldn't.
No, I
have been
can
able
tell
to.
that she's a special piece of the support here. Like
Oh,
having someone with you that's this optimistic, that's this all in, that speaks to the things you're like, well, of course we can. Like, I have faith. I'm never going to doubt it and question it. Like, you're talking about the big stuff, not the daily shit. Like, oh my gosh, this is really hard.
Sure.
Like,
Right.
you're just all in.
Yeah.
Right? An all in belief. Like, even if it doesn't go well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the mindset you guys have now.
Yeah, I mean,
You do.
yeah.
She
I mean,
counters this pessimism. Over
well,
here is
and it's
what
not
happens.
even pessimism, honestly. It's that, she's sitting over there saying, I didn't question these stores at all.
I'm not talking about the
There
small.
may have been a question or two, okay?
But you know what? I think what that's saying is the reason why you guys have made it is sometimes those easy questions, even though it's loving, those easy questions are like putting you in check a little bit. Like, hey, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this best? Have we thought through this? Like, I'm not going to give up, but hey. And if someone does, I think the special part of life, if you can surround yourself, it doesn't just have to be a significant other.
No.
It could be a parent. It could be a best friend. Someone that truly cares about you, that questions you, is so valuable.
Right.
That you actually know they have my best intentions
Mm-hmm.
at heart. They
Yeah.
really want me to succeed. That person is the one you want in your life,
Oh, yeah.
right? You want that. And they're so hard to find.
Yeah.
Because here's what I bet about. Was your dad the one? I bet your dad wasn't the one saying that, was he? I bet it was everyone else. Was it him?
He had his doubts. I will say
Okay.
that. I don't remember the specifics of the conversation.
Because he was an entrepreneur too, right?
He was an entrepreneur, but honestly, he started businesses that he had a tire store in Winchester where I grew up. He ran a T-shirt business. He was a real estate agent.
He knows how hard it is.
He knows how hard it is, and he was always hustling, all the time. All the time, he was always gone hustling. And so, no, I don't think that he had a whole lot to say negative or positive at that moment. I think that everybody just sort of thought we were off our rocker because it was so different and out there.
But do you know why they thought
Mm-hmm.
that? Because they hadn't succeeded at that level yet.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like these types of conversations, be sure to follow The Necessary Entrepreneur on your favorite platform so you never miss out on future content.
Guys, it's true. Here's the thing. There is never anyone in our lives. That's when people are questioning us. I don't usually give advice if you're listening to this, but the reality is if you want to do something in your life, the only people that you can listen to for advice about that thing
Mhm.
are people that have succeeded at the level you want to achieve or more.
Sure.
Because those folks are the ones that are going to tell you, go. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yep.
Do it. Because it can be done. It's not that our families or people questioning and doubting us. It's not that they want bad things for us. They just haven't done it.
Right.
And so they don't have the faith and the belief that they can. That's the issue.
All right.
And so the challenge is for us, just because, my mom is just one of the most special people in my life. But I'm not going to her for business advice.
No.
And so because of it, I'm not going to listen to her for business advice either.
Right.
I'll listen to her for advice on how to be a good human. I'll listen to her advice on how to treat people. I'll listen to her about that. But what it takes about the grind of run. No, she was a nurse her whole life. She was an employee. If I wanted advice on being a nurse, that's who I'd talk to. But not somebody that I want advice on running a business.
Right.
And so I don't blame those people in our lives that don't know how to support us. Because they
No,
just don't
no.
know. And unfortunately, that's the folks that are around us. If we want to do big things, usually there's not anybody around us that has done big things.
Right.
Right. So I don't know if you've thought about that too much. It's the journey of an entrepreneur. It's easier to accept the people that are going to question you if we know this in advance.
Right.
It's not personal. They just don't know. And sometimes you got to tell them that.
Well, and also, I think people. I won't get into that. People are wired to be workers, and people are wired to be entrepreneurs or whatever else. I think there's plenty of
I agree.
crossover there. But at some level,
Yeah.
some people just seek security, and that security
Oh, no,
is
I'm-
a 9-to-5 job with benefits and insurance and everything else. And they may not want more than that as well. They may be happy in it. And for me, I go, I could never be happy in that. So I don't see the same way that they see that they're happy in their 9 to 5, if they are. I don't see it the same way that I wouldn't be that way because I've done it.
Joni's got something to say about this.
I was going to ask if you wanted to finish the story about having our second child and let them know how you quit your job.
I don't remember. Maybe you can tell us.
Are we talking 2017?
2015. So we had already made the decision that this was kind of, we're all in, this is what we're doing. But Rick went on paternity leave for our second child, and he never went back.
I just didn't go back.
Tell us about this. It's important to her, so you need to tell this story.
Well, the funny thing is, I'll send you the Instagram post. I was walking through downtown Frankfurt, and there was something written on the wall. I can't remember it for life of me. It was something inspirational written in chalk, okay? And I'll have to look back at the post. But I looked at it, and honestly, I took a picture of it. I put it on our Instagram and just said, if you're feeling down today or something like that, look at this. And for me, I was walking the train tracks in downtown Frankfurt and getting lunch, and I was just like, I don't want to go back to that place that I just went to or came from in corporate life. I don't want to work for somebody else. And at that point, my first year and a half of the chamber I worked in conferences, basically. It was their most successful year in conferences because I came along and did social media for the first time ever. And so like their conferences, it was like 1,000% they went up or something like that. So I'd already done everything there in a year that I could accomplish, and that was the top. The next thing for me to do was go into politics and go into lobbying, which wasn't me. And so I was like, okay, we're flatlined here. The other thing has opportunity. Let's go. And so honestly, I took my paternity leave, and then I sat down and my boss after my 2-week paternity leave, and I just said, hey, look, I know this sounds crazy, but I've got a t-shirt business, and I can't even give you a day, which I wish I would have given a little more notice now, but
Yeah.
The right thing to do.
Yeah, the right thing to do kind of thing. But I was like, I can't even give you a day because tomorrow I start and I don't stop. And he was like, go get it. He was very supportive.
See, that's awesome.
He said, go get it.
I will say our family was a lot more supportive when we broke that news, because that was a big fear of mine of like, okay, we just had this baby. Like, are they going to think we're even crazier now than we were before? And once we told them, they were like, yeah, we knew that was coming.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it? So that's what I do we just met each other today.
Sure.
We don't have to take advice from each other. We just sit
No.
here and talk and hang out, right? But I would say that what's making me be a little bit better leader and better human is in these moments where I want to be mad at other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, let me go back a decade. I was probably that person. Right?
Dead on.
Yeah, and so then what I don't do is I'm not saying it's okay they're that way. It's like, well, let's see if I can mentor them a little bit here.
Sure, yeah.
Let me see if I can sit down and have a conversation with someone to let them know what's possible. Because what sucks at the chamber, which we have to be careful not to develop these businesses ourselves, are to give people positions where they don't have anywhere to go.
Yep.
Like, we got to make sure we don't do that for other people.
100.
Right? And so if we give someone, so on us a lot of times, if people don't see the future, if they don't see the vision, if they don't see what's possible at the next, that's our fault. And if something else comes along that looks better to them, why are we going to blame them? Because we did the same thing.
Exactly.
Right? And so how do we build businesses that give people an opportunity to keep taking another step,
Right.
to improve themselves, to make more money? And I'm in a place where I think it's not altruism because I want to make money and I'm building a profitable thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's altruism from the standpoint of like, hey, I owe something. If I'm going to build my dream here, like I owe it to these other people to like, let's find out if they have a dream too, and like let's kind of do the same little thing.
Right.
And I think we lose track of that at times.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we can be so much in the ground of the kids and the wife and our dream and building houses. And what are you excited for in 2024? Like, what's this going to be? Oh, that was a deep breath over here. Huh?
I don't know.
What
do you
is
got?
it? What are you excited about?
What do you have?
I don't know. Last year, probably this is business related, obviously, but last year I really started taking my TikTok a little seriously. Didn't care about it through the pandemic, all that kind of stuff. And I have found an audience doing comedy on TikTok that never would have found us. And it's gotten to the point now where everything was about Kentucky. And now it's just me talking about topics that are something on my mind. P. Diddy situation happened yesterday. Started talking about it, and people think it's funny. And so growing up, I wanted to be a comedian. My dad was very funny. He did funny commercials for his stores and stuff like that. And so I always had that drive. But in Winchester, Kentucky, how do you get out of Winchester, Kentucky and go to Hollywood and do stand-up if you don't even know how that you're even capable of
Take
it?
them some
So
Ale-8 guys and make
that's
them
it. That's it. I had one earlier. But yeah, so the thing I'm excited about this year is that my voice has changed a little bit. It's not just Rick, the Kentucky shop guy. I've now kind of taken on a persona of the Kentucky dad. And the Kentucky dad is the guy that really is somebody relatable, somebody that talks about all the things about Kentucky, but also, makes you laugh every single day. And for me, I mentioned earlier that we'd never sold a bunch of hats, and all of a sudden we sold 1,000. That wasn't by mistake. I was wearing that hat and those TikToks over that month, and we've never done that before, and had 1 million views that month. So whenever that happens, I look at that and I go, okay, hold on a second. Here's the reinforcement of this whole thing, is that we don't have to be the square box. We don't have to be that person. You can also do other things. You can be humorous and be funny and be uplifting and everything else. And you don't have to necessarily just sell people t-shirts. And for me, that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
It's never been self-promotion. It has always been, this is something about Kentucky, but also we make t-shirts. And it's always been secondary on social.
We've
And-
had several people come tell us that, and they're like, you're so much different from your competitors because you don't shove it in our face all the time. But like, buy this, buy this, buy
Right.
this.
And we think in business, that's what we have to do, right?
100.
Yep.
And I mean, that's what ads are for. You know what I'm saying? We run ads on every platform across the board. And if they want something, they can click on that ad and get a percentage off or whatever else. And that's fine. And they do very well across the internet. But as far as we go, having the flexibility to hop on there, and I use this Diddy thing again, and talk about something so obscure and so out there, and yet my audience is still relating to it. Okay, yes, this is what I wanted. So I think for me, the next step, the next thing I'm excited about is having that voice. She may feel differently, but I drive her crazy with my TikToks right now just because I am taking it so much more seriously than I once was.
It's not bad.
Not bad. Okay.
So look at this. Does life to Joni seem simple?
I mean, I probably view it pretty simple.
That's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Life is not as complex as we make it. It's really not.
Mm-mm.
And then if life's not as complex, everything we do within life is not as complex either. It's not.
No.
Business isn't. Relationships aren't. Happiness, sad, they're not complex. And if you can get life to slow down a little bit and have some perspective and say, like, how do I run a business? Well, just like have an idea, do some good things around it, tell people about it,
Sure.
and treat people well.
Yeah, it's easy.
Right?
Yeah.
And now with social media, though, now we have an opportunity to tell more people about it.
Sure. Yeah.
So talk about when you started this, created the app, I mean, learning all the Java, learning HTML, but talk about today with social media. Talk about your approach.
Our approach, as she mentioned, is much different. We very much so care. Okay, so I'm not going to put out just a post with a T-shirt on it just to sell a T-shirt. I will not do it, and people think I'm nuts for it. All that kind of stuff. That's what ads are for in my mind. The personality behind it, the heart behind it, the charitable giving behind it, promoting the state. We're doing things by highlighting pieces of the state. You know, I started doing content last year. I came up to the silly disco bathrooms here in Verona and Walton, and that was one of our most viral videos last year. And outside of the aspect of the disco bathroom being a funny thing, what it did is, in my opinion, it gave people state pride about something silly, you know? And that's what we hope to instill, is that love for Kentucky through comedy, through our shirts. If you want a shirt, buy it. If you don't, cool. And that's been the approach. We've never been a hard sell. You know, we have our email list. We send our emails every week. We have our ads, but everything has to be, in my mind, even on Facebook, which is the worst of the worst, organic and happy and flowing. And it's.
Why is it the worst of the worst? I don't let people get away with a statement like that.
Oh,
People can be
I got it.
mean.
I got it. Okay. I wear short shorts. Okay. And I wear short shorts in my TikToks and videos. And I'll tell you what, the boomer men of Facebook, they do not like my short shorts. They want me wearing knee-length shorts. So they come on there and scream. But I'll tell you what,
It helps.
I appreciate every
It
stream.
helps the algorithm.
I appreciate it.
I mean, that's what they're so idiotic about.
I know.
Like all the haters, like they're so vitriol in their hate. They give us more love by default. It's
Even
like,
if you tell them that's what they're doing, they just keep
like
it
thank
going.
you for being an idiot.
Right,
Thank
right.
you because you're bumping my stuff here, man.
Right. And that's essentially what I've told her the past 6 months. I look at it as almost like crowd work, like a comedian. Like I want to roast them just so everybody else will think that it's even funnier and further that post. And
They end
it's
up
worked.
being the butt of the joke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like we end up that what these people don't understand is like when you're a hater and you try to tear down what other people are doing, you look like the idiot.
Yes.
That person is the mean idiot that no one likes. You realize like, oh, they're a jerk. And they take the focus on even if your short shorts are bad because they may be, even if they are,
The ladies don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know about that, right? We're not putting the 40-year-old Rick out on the market to have him have a realization that the ladies don't love it, Joni. You just think because she loves you that it's a great thing.
It's true. It's true.
Just wait. Your 14-year-old daughter's really close to not loving it.
Hey.
That's
hey.
his biggest fear. He's like, I don't want to embarrass her. And
That's
she loves
I
it.
quit it 2 years ago. Honestly.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I said I'm no longer putting my face out there. I'll put the random T-shirts, all that stuff. That I really did. And so finally, I sat down with her, and she was about 12, and I said, "Look, I don't want to be an embarrassment to you. I don't want to be the funny, hokey guy on the internet playing a character or whatever else. And I tried to explain to her, I'm like, Rick is a character, even though Rick is your dad. You know, what I say online is not going to be what I say to you in person. And it was an uphill battle, but you know, she finally looks at me and is like, I'm never going to be embarrassed of you. You're my dad. And I'm like, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good. So
See, there's a good Johnny.
Our kids are very different. We've got the younger one who is just outgoing, crazy. She's wild. And then our oldest one is very conservative. She's more of a gamer. And so her being quiet and not being as into the social media, the little one would be in front of the camera all day long. But we never wanted to force her to be part of it or put the camera in her face or anything like that. And so we have always been safeguarded and wanted to make sure she was okay with that.
yeah, to the extent early on, people would like question us. Like they would be like,
Do you not like your older
do you not
daughter?"
like your older daughter? Is something wrong? Yeah, I mean, like, you know how people are
Yeah.
online and stuff. So eventually got to the point I was just like, she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, she
That's
shouldn't
it.
have to.
Yeah. Why should she have to?
You know, I think this is an example about in life too about communication.
Sure.
You start talking to your daughter about something that most parents wouldn't, right? They're like, well, I'm not going to talk to them about if I'm an embarrassment or not. That's just part of childhood. They're just going to be embarrassed. But you talked to her and you said it was a journey. And then she got to a point where she's, Dad, I'm never going to be embarrassed by you.
Right.
Like
right.
that's a hurdle that a parent with a kid that may never get to with so many. To have an in-depth conversation like that and for them to say, well, I just love you. For her to have that feeling and know that at 14 years old, you have so much more equity for life in the relationship you get to
Sure.
have with her.
Yeah.
Right? I think we probably didn't communicate the way that we should. Probably in business, in relationships. So many of us aren't taught these things. Your parents didn't talk. Your dad probably didn't talk to you like that.
No.
They don't.
No.
Right? They don't. And so I think it's very healthy to be able to do that. And not just to sweep things under a rug, to act like it's not the reality of life happening and going on.
Right.
They're going to benefit them so much. So the 9-year-old may at 13 or 14 be like, y'all just aren't good at this anymore. This is my business.
That's all I'm hoping
Dad,
for.
just go make your TikToks. Mom, I don't know. Like,
It's funny. Everybody's always like, why does she talks like an adult? I'm like, well,
That's all
That's
she's
all
known.
she's been around.
She's been around adults her entire life.
Yeah.
So
So we're excited about TikToking. Oh,
if it sticks around,
a
you know,
40-year-old is excited about TikToking with
I
short
am.
shorts. Rick, I don't even know, dude.
you know,
Do you have the little kiddie pool outside with an inch of water and say you're going to the beach and put some sand out, like that whole thing?
no, we built a pool this summer, and we did quite a few fun TikToks about that. We have an HOA that we scuttled with this summer, and that went a little viral. So, you know, when those things happen, it makes it fun because as much as I do love Kentucky and I love talking about Kentucky, obviously, it's fun to do something else every once in a while and just have your own personality on display a little bit.
we did have a kiddie pool last year. I think I came
We
home and
did,
you had
yeah.
skeletons in it.
Yes, I did
Oh,
have.
See, so I wasn't off base on this.
No. At one point last year, I was moving a 12-foot skeleton around like it was animation and trying to make funny videos, and that was
very
not
strange.
fun.
Is that going to be? Is that up right now? Halloween's coming. Is a 12-foot skull?
One of
It's in
them's
our
up.
store. Yeah, one of
Okay.
them is. Yeah.
So you guys love the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
What about? Is it the U.S. Virgin Islands or British? All of them?
U.S. We've never been to the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah, we've stayed St. John. It's our favorite place in the world. So
Why?
I mean, it's beautiful.
Uh, Honestly, like we mentioned earlier, I got fired the week before our honeymoon, and we went to St. Thomas. At that point, we went to St. John, and we sat in Megan's Bay at St. Thomas and just looked out over the water, and we're so upset. And the line that she will give you over and over again, I said, "Please take this in, because I have no clue that we'll ever be able to come back here." At that point, and I think that that's why, honestly, is because it was a place of recognition of the fact that we were at a low point, and success to us, if we got back there, that was success. If we were ever able to afford to get back there, and it was it wasn't stupid. It was a small measure of success. And so we just kept on going back after that. It just became a special place in our heart, and a place we want to retire to someday. And, like I said, I'll be buried in Kentucky. I may not die there. I might die on St. John, but
Which might be okay as long as you get back here.
Yeah. Just a couple ashes or something,
Why do you love it?
I mean, it's just one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and we enjoy taking our kids there. I never got to do that as a kid, and it is something. It just means a lot to me to be able to do that with my family. And
Yeah.
I won't say that it's like our great escape from work. As an entrepreneur, you're always working, so. But we just love it. It's beautiful, and
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think what's your dad say about you now? Does he tell you?
We have a rocky relationship.
Okay.
I
right.
probably prefer not to get
Okay,
into
good.
that.
So do you think in these moments, though, I had one of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So here's what I bet, though, that as I grow and mature in life, even the people that I had rocky relationships with, we all know truths inside.
Sure.
He knows you're doing things.
Well, here's what
he's
I'll
proud of
say.
you from the outside.
See, there you go.
That is it.
There
I
you
was
go.
gonna say,
Isn't that awesome?
both of our parents, I think, on
He
both
probably
sides.
talks. He probably talks about you guys and
To
what you're
everybody.
accomplishing.
That's it.
Once the ego shit goes to the side, it is what it is, right?
Right.
I just know that time heals almost every wound.
Oh yeah.
It does, and so that he's talking and he's proud
Sure.
and
yeah.
saying that you've done big things. Listen, I know what I know. Then
No.
he
and
cares and he loves you.
He's definitely the guy that he goes down to Florida, and if he sees one of our shirts in Florida, he's sending me a message and going, "I'm so proud." Da, 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 da.
He'll
So,
probably talk to him
I mean,
for
it's
about
there,
30
but,
minutes just about it.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
don't have to go. I'm just saying that.
no.
See, one day there's a big hugging. in place
Hopefully
somewhere.
so. Hopefully so.
Well, I think there will be, right? Because here's what I know: if he's doing that, it's in there.
Yeah.
And then so what we have to recognize too, no matter the thing, it's on all of us.
Sure.
We all have shared responsibility in this thing.
Oh yeah.
Like your dad's a hardworking mechanic.
Yes.
What's he say about you?
He'll give me a big hug and tell me he loves me, but he's not a very emotional man.
He is not a man of many words at all.
No.
At all.
But isn't that kind of all it takes in life? A hug and say, "Hey, I love you."
Mhm.
He doesn't do that for you.
No. A hearty handshake is what I get. He's a very hearty handshaker.
What'll happen if he ever does give you a hug and says, "I love you"? What will happen?
I would melt. I would, the awkwardness coming over me, I would just stand there frozen.
Yeah.
What would you say, Joni, if that ever happened?
I don't know. I might laugh.
Thanks. All the support.
Do you think you're entrepreneurs for life?
I would say so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know that you can go back.
No.
Why can't you go back? And not just you guys too. Think about the idea. Why can't we go back?
I know we've talked about the structure of your life and things like that, but it's just working a 9 to 5 or even just any ordinary job. It puts you in a box and it sets your limits for you. And I think being an entrepreneur, you're allowed to set your own limits and your own goals. And as far as you can go, it's up to you. So
Yeah.
there's-
I think for me, I worked in a cubicle and a monkey cage and everything else, and I just don't know that I could ever go back to the fluorescent lights and bad carpet and plastic desk and sitting there, and it was never
But you said it one now.
oh no, I don't
At all?
Oh, not much.
But you have a desk.
I have
you
a
do
desk.
have a desk.
He
do
has
have
a
a
desk,
desk. I
Joni.
have
He
a
has a
desk.
desk.
My desk is much nicer now.
Here's the thing, though. But you probably have an LED light somewhere around.
I don't know. We replaced all the lights.
It's not dark. It's LED. But I'm like, it's
Yeah.
perspective. Here's
Sure.
what I think. You actually know what you're capable of now. That's
Yes,
why you
yeah.
can't go back into a box.
Right.
Because you know, like any day that you're just confined, you're like, hold on, I'm capable of so much more. And I know I can.
Sure, yeah.
That's the issue with so many people.
Yeah. You have to change your mindset on
That's
all
it.
of that.
They just don't believe. Like, hey, you could go out and do what we're talking about today in this business you guys have built. Like, isn't it true that almost anyone could?
Yes.
Yes.
There's no secret sauce to it. And I mean, I interviewed a girl a couple weeks ago, okay? And we talked about AI. She was an artist, okay? And she was coming to work for us. She was pursuing art in college, and she was very upset about AI as a young person, okay? And I said, what you have to understand is that things evolve and things change in life, okay? And at one point, yes, AI is very convenient, but that also means that you might birth something like original art that costs more because it was done by a human hand. So therefore, you have the advantage over AI if you're in certain markets. And I said to her, you have to understand, a lot of my friends, they dropped out of their corporate gig and they make, 6 figures a year making pottery, traveling around to festivals and fairs. And that's their life that they wanted to lead and the life that they loved and the life that they pursued. And so did they know how to make pottery to begin with? No, they figured it out and decided that's the thing. It didn't take a big leap or of faith or anything like that. Like, I think everybody thinks that you just have this moment where it's like jumping off of a cliff into entrepreneurship. And I really think it's more of a trickle of a creek. You just kind of learn a little
that
bit.
People ask is like, how did you know?
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I just wouldn't have wanted to do anything.
You
else,
just
I guess.
did it.
Yeah.
I think what you'll find is you either are a person that sees and places obstacles in front of you, or you're someone that just says they're irrelevant to me.
Right.
And you take action and start the race in spite of it.
Right.
If you're someone who just consistently sees the obstacles, like, I'm just like, good luck. I don't have any like ill will. There's nothing that it's just, you're going to have problems.
You're the only one that can fix it.
Yeah. 100%. So we're excited about 2024. What do you think? Do you guys work off business plans?
Nope.
You don't.
Nope. We are as untraditional as it gets.
Okay.
About the only thing traditional about us is we run a P&L and live and die by it. And that's kind of really it, month in, month out.
If you have more money coming in every month than money going out, you're okay.
Yes.
Isn't that it?
That's it.
Cash flow is king.
Yep.
And even if you have some months where you're breaking even, if you just keep paying the bills, you'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
You've had those months. You've had months in the negative. You're in business. Of course you had those.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So if you don't have a business plan, do you have a vision of 5 years, of 10 years, or no, it's just day by day?
I don't think a 5-year, our business is so repetitive every year as far as it's seasonal. So, you have basketball, football season, you have fall.
I saw y'all's
some
Halloween stuff on your website,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I saw all that. It's
Yep.
seasonal.
That's our biggest drop of the year, is our fall drop.
Okay.
So, you do those things year in and year out, and you try to create new every single year. So for us to have a business plan of 5 years from now, it would be very difficult. It would be very difficult because we honestly don't know what we want. And the other part about it that, I'll talk about as far as the screen printing industry, the printing industry, it's changed just drastically. For example, right now we run direct-to-garment printers, 2 of them, and we maybe on those 2 with a couple people run them can print 150, 200 shirts a day if we're cooking through there. Our screen printing presses, they run 500 shirts an hour, so that's just traditional screen printing. They now have these direct-to-garment machines that's one operator, prints 100 shirts per hour. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars and things like that, but the industry is changing. So for us to look at it and go, it's going to be the same in 5 years, the industry is going to change so much that I think that we'll be at a spot where we have several really, really, really good core employees who want to be there and want to pursue the passion of what they're doing and things like that. So I don't ever see, you mentioned going back to 30 employees. I don't know that I ever see 30 employees again. I see a group 10 employees that are just really, really good folks to be around, and that's what I care about when I hire is, man, is this person, because I work those presses too, is this person all right to talk to all day long, all right to hang out with, because that's my time as well, and
Yeah.
I want to be around pleasant people.
So 2 things. So I'm going to talk about hiring.
Sure.
But so you guys think you'll have one of those machines that makes 100 an hour?
If it were up to me. If it were up to me.
How much does that cost? A couple $100,000?
So a 4-head is the 100, or it's 400,000, and then
See, this is
the
how
8-head
he works.
is
He starts
900.
like just mentioning it.
Yeah, this is soft. This is a soft entry you're witnessing currently.
It probably already happened once or twice. This is just elevating a little bit.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
100. It happened with our first presses and our ovens and everything else. I was just like, where are you going to get this small little thing here?
Joni, $400,000. Can't you wait until somebody's not doing well and buy it for 150 or 200?
No.
You
No.
can't.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it. Not these machines. There's enough that
You have to
can
take
be
really good care of them.
Yes. It is a highly detailed cleaning every single day, and if somebody doesn't take care of it,
You're gonna have big
it's
issues.
kaput. Yeah. So
How long will that $400,000 machine last if you don't need to upgrade it? How long could it last?
I don't know, Rick.
we'll see. The funny thing about it is, so we have downtime on our presses right now. Say they have to circulate inks, they have to be cleaned out, and all this stuff throughout the day. So I mean, there are times when they're down for 30 or 45 minutes throughout the day. This one runs 24/7, and so if I had a single operator standing there running 24/7, I could print 2,400 different shirts a day. That's the key to it. Is
Different? 2,400 different?
different.
And it still runs that fast?
Yes. So
Wow.
essentially, what you do is you put you could put a different color, different design, different everything on these presses, and it has a barcode system on it. It reads the barcode, it pre-treats the shirt, it presses the shirt, it does everything that we do manually right now in order to get the shirt ready for print, and it then puts it in one of 4 heads, which prints it. And
Joni, he needs one.
yeah,
I know.
I have to have it.
I'm just telling you.
I
he
think I
needs
might
it.
just get it for the house, just to hang out with it.
So you could, wow, that's wild. 2,400
crazy.
unique shirts.
Yep.
Okay. So when's the downtime and maintenance on that thing? Because we asked, like, how long does it last? Is it good for a decade? Is it good for 4 years? Is it?
This is brand new technology.
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's scary as hell, being on the bleeding edge.
Yeah, but it's through Brother. And what I will say about Brother GTX Pros or what we run right now, they're
Quality.
just unbelievable. So I have just an immense amount of trust in that company, not to plug them, but I do. And anything that they put out, obviously we're going to go to Vegas to see it run first and do our due diligence. But I would imagine within the next 2 years, that would be probably our big purchase. And we would probably go from there.
He's got 2 years. You got 2 years to work on this thing.
To be fair, he mentioned this to me for the first time yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
And then the problem is this happens usually quicker than 2 years, too.
Yes.
Yeah. They probably will roll out some type of program. Hey, guys, for 90 days.
yeah.
Right? Does that stuff happen?
Financing,
Yeah,
you know,
right. Yeah, for
zero
90
down.
And guys, if it doesn't go well and it's not operating right, our
We'll just get it
relationship,
back.
we'll pull it back. And right?
No.
Yeah.
We've been around the block.
The salesperson's on you guys. So then, do you have vision boards? Is it in your brain? The things you want? Like, do you see yourself in the villa on the side of the Virgin Islands at 65 years old with the grandkids coming down? Do you see that?
I see having a place there. Yeah. You know, I would.
They do have hurricanes, so.
Yeah. Global warming, hurricanes, and stuff like that. It's getting more violent down there. We had a near miss once when we were there, and so that's, you know, we had a lot of friends that lived down there actually, and they went through Maria and Irma. Was it Irma?
Yeah.
It was bad.
And it was really bad.
But you guys are good. You're built to handle bad and tough things.
I don't know that I'm built to handle that. That is, seeing it firsthand from the inside through their lens, I was sitting and going like, okay, I don't know that I would do well with this, you know, type.
But
thing.
they could have left. They could have.
Yes,
They could
yes
have.
and no.
No,
Yes and
they could have a
no.
few days. They could have. Yes, they could have.
I mean,
They could have. Quit letting them off the hook because you're friends with them. They could have. They're like,
but okay,
probably not going to be that bad. We don't, right? I'm just
Right,
being
yeah.
honest.
I know, but you leave your home. You know that's the part of it is do you leave your home?
The
you know?
older we get, the more educated we should get about making better decisions.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I actually agree with
Like
that.
leave, you can come back.
Right.
It is a structure.
That's it.
I know.
Have some insurance; it can be rebuilt.
Right.
Yeah. Now they'll leave next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll only take 6 or 7 years to rebuild, though. It's no
That's
big
what-
deal.
He talked about a near miss. We were down there like a week before
Yeah.
the first hurricane hit that time, and we stayed in a resort, and it's still not open.
Still not.
Yeah. It's still
Wow.
hanging off the side of a cliff.
All right. So 2024, you guys know decades go by like this.
Yes.
So when you look back in 10 years, what do you hope to see and review that happened? So it's going to be a 50-year-old Rick and only a 40-something-year-old Joni.
Right.
Right?
37.
What do you hope to look back? What do you hope that you two had done, were doing? What do you want to be able to smile about and say, I'm glad that they did that? Because I think we do look back on our lives because you talk about, I don't want to have regrets because it made us who we are, but we do look back and know if we made good decisions, bad decisions, if we do it again?
For me, I don't equate happiness anymore with money. In very naive me did, and you have to have it for security, obviously, and everybody likes it. Not gonna lie, that's what I do.
If it's not that valuable, you want to give me some?
I would absolutely love to.
Which you would love to? Does that mean you're going to? Because that doesn't sound like that's what that means.
No.
So he does value money.
I do value money,
okay,
but I do not value the things that go with money anymore. I've had cars, I've had houses, I've had that sort of thing. I can honestly tell you, I love our house. It's a beautiful home. I love living there. I love owning it, all that kind of stuff. I would be just as happy at our previous home right now. And that's honest goodness truth. It's just because for me, when you're a kid, they tell you, hey, you get all these things growing up, that's success. And so that's what I've always equated success. Cars. I'm going to have a Lambo someday and a big house and a mansion, blah, 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 blah. And once you have kind of achieved those things a little bit, they lose their luster. I will say that. And that's not to hit on anybody that loves cars. If they love cars, I don't like cars. I don't like houses. So therefore, me, I like experiences. I like travel. I like that sort of thing. So I think if you're looking back at success, we have traveled quite a bit. We haven't world traveled quite a bit. I would love to have, traveled the world a little bit and seen different perspectives of different folks and lived a different life outside of America a little bit, even to gain that sort of perspective, as because we live in divided times, as you know. So I think that for me is one of the most important things over the next 10 years as far as the business goes, just to sustain, and to continue for us to make people happy with what we do. I feel as though we make people happy with what we do and the content that we put out, and even down to, we talked about trolls. I've got a great group of people on Facebook that come to my rescue every single time. I don't even have to defeat them anymore. So it's like, to build that community is really, really important to me.
Wow, that was well said, wasn't it?
It was.
She was shaking her head.
Was that good?
Great.
Oh my gosh.
Is there anything that we left out, looking back on 10 years?
Is that the 10-year plan?
I think that's the 10-year plan. I know personally, I'm obviously the quiet one in the relationship, so me letting go of that a little bit and kind of growing more into who I feel that I can be. But
like letting your voice fly a little bit more.
Right.
Because see, we all have it. You have it inside.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's what I've told her over the years is, she has a little bit of a social media presence on Instagram, things like that. And I said, to be a strong woman, to be an entrepreneur as a woman, I'm not saying that's a unique thing. It's much more prevalent nowadays, obviously.
People are speaking to it more now.
People are speaking to it, right?
You got to do it, though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
And I think that's an important voice that she has for our small community of Lexington, even. And she is the type of person that she pleases people. She's kind. She doesn't want to put herself out there and get hurt. And I mean, to be quite honest, is that true?
Absolutely. I feel like we've talked about employees and all that stuff before. It's easy to put yourself out there and get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's happened. So
mean people are just mean, and they have nothing to do with you.
Yep.
Yes.
They're just mean.
Miserable.
They are. And I think we lose track of when you're the one that's engaging with that level of mean. It's tough to know that it's not about you.
Right.
They're not just mean and evil in that moment.
No.
That's who they are. Like, we all have our moments, but we all know who the good quality people are, who are doing good things, who have good intentions, who are having positive impacts. Those people come back and apologize.
Yes.
Right? Those people are the ones that realize, like, oh, even if they don't apologize, we're these big ego men and all this, we don't do it again. Right? And so when people are acting like jerks, it's for the most part who they are.
100.
Yes.
It just is. And to realize that's tough, because it hurts getting to that moment and that point.
Right. You got to have thick skin.
Yeah. And if you develop it.
Yeah. And especially, if you want to have an online presence, a social presence, you've really got to have the thick skin.
Yeah. Like one of the teammates came to me the other day. They're like, hey, on TikTok, somebody just crushed one of your takes. Like, that was a terrible take. And I'm like, well, ask them why. I don't care. They're going to tell us a why again is terrible, but like, I don't care. It's my take. I said it. Tell me why it's terrible. And they don't say anything. Of course they don't,
Never.
right? Yeah. And so I'm not scared of anything anymore. And when you get there, I just have empathy for them. I'm like, wow, you're miserable. Thanks for helping the algorithm.
Yes, no doubt. No
Right?
doubt. Thanks for giving me a little bit more.
And when they comment, what they don't know is like, well, you're going to see more of it now. So more shorts are coming, buddy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's stoked it, honestly.
Wild.
It's crazy for people to The thing I say is it's mostly boomer men, like I mentioned, saying this, and I'll razz them up saying, "Hey, you're the one that's a weirdo commenting on some guy's shorts on the internet, you know?"
And boy, it just fires them up.
It ruins their day. And I know it ruins their day because they're disinvested in it, but it didn't have anything to do with my day.
Their day was going to be ruined about something.
Oh, yeah.
What do you tell? So we talked about how do you hire? How do you hire? Like, who's a person? Is it the resume? Is it the references? Like, when you hire somebody, how are you hiring them now?
Very unsuccessfully. Very unsuccessfully. We've drove up our wages. We've benefits, everything that we see as what we need to be doing in order to operate in the post-COVID world and this sort of job environment and everything else. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And honestly, it's not difficult to necessarily hire. To give you a rundown of what that process looks like for us, our small business, I'll put out an ad. I'll get 180 applicants for it. I'll find 30 out of that 180 that seem all right. I'll send 30 interview requests out. Maybe get 10 back, maybe 10. Of those 10, I'll schedule my interviews over 2 days, 5 each day. 2 may show up, 2 might, and no call, no show. They're not going to give you the convenience of, hey, I'm running late. And then I have to pick one of those 2 at very least, because I'm sitting here going, I've spent a week on this now. And typically they are either late the first day, call in sick, don't show up for their shift 3 days in a row the next week. And this has been going on over and over and over again. And so I've kind of going like, okay, is it us? So again, we bumped our wages. Okay, is it us? We've changed our hours. Okay, is it us? We'll give them flexibility, you know? And I don't know how much a small business can give in the current environment of things, because I can't pay somebody, you know, $60,000 a year for a job that 4 years ago was a part-time job making $30,000. And you know, for us, that's what we have to look at is, are we looking for the long term? And usually when it's when we're hiring to get relief from us, because it's literally our hands in the ink every single day. And so sometimes I think that we're quick to pull the trigger and go like, okay, this is going to be, we're going to throw this fix, the solution, things like that. Desperate for help sort of thing. And just desperate, like, I just want to have a normal life, especially now. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And even down to, you know, I've had to let a couple people go this last couple weeks. Just no call, no show. Not, you know, when we explain how to do the job, which is very simple, by the way, okay, it seems to fly over their head. And these are people, 2 of them had college degrees, you know, and I'm not saying that's a measure of success.
College degree doesn't mean shit anymore.
No, I agree.
I'm just telling you, to operate in this world, that college degree doesn't translate. It doesn't. It used to mean that, hey, they've done something, they have stick-to-itiveness, they committed for 4 years and finished. The things that they're learning now, they are not the soft skills that are necessary to have a positive mindset, to have a growth mindset, to have perseverance, to have grit, to have belief in themselves, to have a willingness to work hard, to understand you have to show up and do a good job. None of those things are being taught.
Nope.
And they need every one of those to be a good employee, then to do a good job as an employee, to get promoted, to make more money, to have an opportunity to change their life. There's weird stuff happening in society right now. The only thing that college degree, that 4-year degree is doing now, if you're going to be an attorney, if you're going to be that you need that for the basics for a graduate degree.
That is exactly what I tell my daughter.
That 4-year degree now, you all, like, like inside of me, I still want to say, go get it. Like, I still want to say it because it's like, well, what? I'm just like, it's shit now. I'm sorry. It isn't doing anything for people.
No.
It's the human that I'm looking at, that maybe the college experience, that 3 or 4 years, maybe it allowed them to grow up a little bit more. Maybe it was a little bit fun, but dang it, if you took that 4 years and you actually went out and applied it somewhere, who they would become as a human in those 4 years, learning how to interact with humans, how to do jobs, understanding the process of working with other humans, they would be decades ahead.
100.
So I don't know the advice to give anymore. I just know that the skills that they're not learning there anymore, they're not coming prepared.
No.
They're not.
And you know, even down to, you know, I think it almost insulates them at this point a little bit from the outside world, because you're sitting there spending 4 years doing the same thing that you kind of did in high school, except you have to walk to class or whatever else, and you're learning sort of the same things. Why do we need Bio 102 for somebody that is going to go into something unrelated, you know?
No one's telling them the truth is the problem.
100.
That, like, they're kind of hearing it, but no one's telling them. I don't have a problem with the debt if you're going to get a job that you can pay it off.
Right.
That's fine. But why are you going and getting a biology degree if you're going to be, honestly, like, working at a desk,
Right.
doing some random thing in customer service?
Right.
What the hell, man?
Well, and honestly, I used to have the mindset of like, I have a degree in psychology.
Yep.
Okay, well, maybe that helps me a little bit with the studies that I did, and I was more interested in like PhD cognitive psychology than like sitting down on a couch and talking to someone. Maybe that helped me with social media or interactions with humans and understanding kind of how people think and stuff like that. But if I'm really honest with myself, no, it didn't.
And especially not
didn't.
now, because the information is at our fingertips now, you all.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's no one that is controlling it. The universities may be used to, where the professors knew these things and they were transferring it to us. They're unnecessary now.
100.
Right? Maybe you need a lab. Maybe there's a few things, but they do not control the data, the information, and the intellect anymore.
Nope.
No.
I learned more by reading books, listening to Audible, being around folks like this, other entrepreneurs, a doctor. I learned more from Dr. Page in Louisville. I learned more from him about health and about our biome, about gut health. I learned more sitting there from him than probably I would have learned in 3 or 4 or 5 classes in med school. Over 2 hours listening to him and his wife.
Right.
The information's there for us now.
Yeah.
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 And
Well, that's what I was saying even earlier, is that I got a degree in psychology, spent about 6 or 7 years doing it, a 4-year degree,
Yep.
a little slow. But
it helped you a little bit.
It helped me a little bit, but everything I learned in 5 books that I got for $25 from Books A Million.
There you go.
So to my $25 investment in those 5 books is pretty valuable to me now.
So we need to be teaching people the willingness to take action, to
Right.
buy the book, to read the book, to show up if they want to be working a print press today. Like, show up, do a great job, grow your mind a little bit, look around and learn from others.
Right.
There's the unlock. So what are you guys going to tell your kids? That's evolving, right?
You've already told her.
Yeah. I have said, if you are going to college and you're going to be an attorney, okay, cool, let's do it. Doctor, cool, let's do it. But if you're just going to get a degree in kinesiology or whatever else, just going to get 4 years out of your way, no harm to kinesiology, but don't do it. Don't waste your time doing it. Come work for me. Go work for someone else. Probably don't come work for me. Go work for someone else, and have those life experiences, or figure out a way to do what you want. She loves skiing. Go out to Breckenridge. Get your job during the winter months out there. Be around people, enjoy that time, and work during it, and then figure out your life, because you might come up with something while you're out in Breckenridge that's never been thought of before.
And can't she, if she picked up the books that she would read in college, couldn't she do that in 6 to 12 months worth of wasting 4 and 5 years and spending all that money now?
Yeah, and the sad thing, or the great thing about our older daughter, she would.
There you go.
She would do it.
Teach
And-
the willingness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she loves to read. She loves to intake knowledge. But like you're saying, I don't know if that knowledge, because it's so readily available, is what we need to be paying all this money for her to intake.
Yep.
Because what's it going to do, really? It's already there for her.
Yeah. There's also an entrepreneur from Louisville who makes ready-made cocktails. And she's a physician, OBGYN. She went back to med school after she had kids. Right? So that's not bad.
No.
It's like, hey, she figured some things out. She realized what she wanted to do, and then she went back and did it. I think we have these boundaries around our brain about the order of life. It's like, guys, the order of life is what everyone else told us.
Right.
Screw that. Like, build the own order of your life and just get up and do things great the way you want to do it. So they don't realize that if someone came to work for you guys, they could build an entire life on learning how to do screen printing well.
I've had somebody do that already. Exactly. So he worked for me for 6 months and started his own gig in a different county. So,
But that could lead them to understanding other things. Like, just do something well. Whatever you're choosing to do, apply yourself to it, and people will see it. The skills you're going to learn, the characteristics you're going to build with yourself, and then also the knowledge you're going to build. Other people see it. If that business can't pay you more, there will be opportunities that you can go and make more. Just do a great freaking job.
Yep,
Right.
that's it.
It's really simple. All right, what do we miss here on? You guys are selling so many hats and shirts and
Right.
making millions of dollars and traveling to the Virgin Islands and
I wish that were the case.
building your mansions and raising cool girls and firing employees. Like, congratulations! That's what a
Yay,
great
happy
guy.
day.
A father-in-law that may give you a hug and say he loves you.
I'm hoping, I'm praying for it one day.
What are we missing here? Anything on your mind as you were making this drive up to northern Kentucky from Lexington? It's only about a 65, 70-mile drive. Depends on where you guys live.
No, we're in Georgetown, so
Also,
even better.
Easy.
Yeah. It was a skip, hop, and jump up here.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind?
I don't think so. You know,
What was the conversation on the way up?
what was it? I don't even remember.
I think we were discussing your TikToks on the way up on where we were going to stop.
Yeah, we stopped at Big Bone Lick State Park because okay, the silly thing is I call Boone County the sexiest county in Kentucky, and people love it because it had Big Bone Lick, Beaver Lick, and Sugar Tit, Kentucky. And so...
How do they feel about that when you sit in the pew?
I don't, but...
If you did.
If I did,
So Boone County's the sexiest county in Kentucky.
that's what I say. That's what I say.
Did you get to see the bison?
I did not, no.
What the hell? How are you going to stop there and not see them?
We were running late. It was for a 5-minute TikTok, so it was...
It's a short little walk down to the field. Come on, man. What else? Have you been out west? Have you seen a bison in person?
I probably a zoo or something, but
I
I've
think
not been out west.
Maybe
I've not
that's a
been out
hat
there.
too. Kentucky with a bison.
Well, I don't know. We actually did one because the bison land between the lakes.
Yeah.
We did a land between the lakes shirt this year with a couple of bison on it. So
Hold on. You love Kentucky.
Mhm.
They're here in one of the oldest parks. They're making an argument that mammoths, woolly mammoths, and all this were here,
Sure,
right? And you're going to go to land between the lakes, which isn't just Kentucky, right? There's multiple states in there, isn't there? Or is it just Kentucky?
it's just Kentucky.
We don't have like Tennessee right there.
Well, Tennessee's right there. I think like Norse Lake or something like that.
Come on, guys. Northern Kentucky.
Hey,
The
I know.
bison, the
I'm
hat,
here.
the shirt.
I'm here.
All right.
we did have Florence Y'all Water Tower and all those kind of shirts. And when we were up here, we had our license with Northern Kentucky University. So that was a natural fit. We did kind of some fun stuff with their old mascot, which is the big dragon thing.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Just keep going and making shirts. How many shirts and hats, not revenue, but how many shirts and hats do you think you'll produce in 2024? How many pieces of clothing?
And it's low. And okay, so the funny thing about it is because of the way that we used to produce and warehouse things, and now it being direct, on demand. Used to we would warehouse hundreds of thousands of shirts.
Yep.
We warehouse none now. So to say that we print 300 or 400 shirts a day is probably pretty accurate.
Yep.
Honestly,
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably pretty accurate for now.
So you might make 75,000 pieces of clothing.
Yeah. I know for a fact that we're going to roll over our millionth shirt this year at some point.
I have no idea how you know that.
Congratulations.
A lot of counting.
That's awesome.
And like you mentioned, we've done the charitable giving thing over the years too, and we haven't had a real great opportunity for that because we don't seek out charitable giving. We're not going to do an October breast cancer month shirt, and then in November this month and that month and everything else because we feel like those are already kind of spoken for. So we've always just kind of waited for the opportunity to arise, and that's several of them have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for different charities, or not different charities, but for people on the ground. And so I think that.
How do you do that? We're raising money. Tell me how one of those arises and how it happens.
Speaking probably to the Eastern Kentucky flood relief, that was one of the larger ones and more labor-intensive ones. We give 100% of the proceeds. So we donate our time, we donate our staff's time, we donate the ink. The only thing that we cover is the shirt cost itself. And so with those, we typically put them out. The entire thing is Kentucky Strong, in which everybody has Ohio Strong, whatever else. So it's not unique in the sense it's called Kentucky Strong or anything like that, but it does give a sense of community. And so kind of the first ones that we did was actually for Hurricane Harvey down in Texas. Yeah, Texas, Louisiana.
Yep.
And Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders wore it. It was kind of a fun little thing, and we raised $75,000 with those shirts. And we realized through that one that we could do more. And in January of the next year, tragically, there's the Marshall County shooting, and that raised about $250,000. But the great thing about it is we were able to connect with people on the ground there, and then the $250,000 wasn't given to some charity. It was given directly to these parents, these kids. It helped funeral costs, psychological counseling. It went to really practical measures. And so when we realized that we could connect and give it to really practical measures that actually impacted people's lives, we're like, okay, there's more to it than this T-shirt, you know. And so we've done it over and over again. Western Kentucky, we raised around $400,000. Yeah. And, the Eastern Kentucky one, she had an idea. She's like, hey, why don't we do like why don't we just do this T-shirt, but they need practical needs. They need beds, they need fans, they need things. And so I was like, let's put an Amazon list together of these practical need things. Ask them, connect with people down there, ask what they need, and see if we can't get it. Because, I mean, even getting things in and out of there at that point because the roadways were so bad. And so we're sitting there.
Was this the floods? Was it floods?
It's flooding, yeah. We're sitting there at our warehouse, and we're like thinking, okay, we'll get a couple of items or whatever. An Amazon truck pulls up, like one of the big box Penske trucks, full, but not just one. It just kept going for 2 days. It was 30,000,
We were
40,000 items.
This big truck shows up, and we get deliveries every day, and it's in different sizes, but we're thinking like he's just going to hand a couple packages, and he's like, no, the entire truck is yours. He's like, I'm done for the day. And
he's off work.
It was the next truck rolls in. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was 30,000, 40,000 items. I don't remember exactly, but the interesting thing that we didn't account for is that everything comes in a box individually.
Yeah.
Unboxing 40,000 items and removing
throw it
40,000
all
boxes.
What'd you do?
We spent 2 weeks organizing it on pallets, and then in order to get down there, I rented a truck, and essentially we were able to compress all that because of the boxing and everything else into one truck.
We took two.
We took 2 trucks.
Trucks.
Yeah, sorry. Well, big trucks. I can't drive a semi. Box trucks. Yeah. I nearly killed us on that trip. But we drove down to Eastern Kentucky and dropped them off with the folks that needed it most, and got to see that firsthand. And it's like, for us, when I say it's more than a T-shirt, that solidified it for me. It was the entire community of Kentucky said, this is a way I can help. And to have 40,000 items dropped at the back door within a week, it was just
pallets of diapers alone.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it brought you to tears anytime you would walk in the room and see just what everybody who came together.
The generosity. And again, speaking back to my love for Kentucky, that was it. It was like, these people care about strangers, man. And I mean, it just, even still, I get choked up about it, Mm-hmm. So we're proud of that, but it's not us that's doing it. Yeah, we're doing the hard work. Yeah, we're printing shirts. But it is the community of Kentucky that's rallying around these people every single time. And it doesn't matter what it is, really. They always show up. And so I think that probably solidified for me the love of Kentucky, love of people and community and things like that it does exist even beyond our political divides and everything else, is that people can still come together around those sort of things. And that's interesting to see today, especially,
Yeah. Do you think we have to wait for the tragic moments to arrive?
Not necessarily tragic. It's just been the way that this has worked.
It's awesome when you do it there to support, but it's like, what can be done proactive? Because if you're saying we can come together, like, why does the country have to wait for a 9/11?
I get it, yeah.
So I'm just like, what do you think? That's just how we are as humans? Like, we just aren't focused on it until then?
My marketing perspective says yes. Yeah, people want to help when they know there's a need to help. And they know that they can, and I'm not saying that they get a T-shirt out of it, but they do get a T-shirt out of it. They do get to wear that T-shirt, which everybody else knows, okay, they supported a cause type thing.
Feel connected
to it. So I don't think it's necessarily that we wait for it. It's just for us, every single time.
Call to action.
It is a call to action, because every single time we have, we've connected with Norton Hospital and done breast cancer awareness shirts and all these type of drives and stuff. They never go well.
Yeah.
They never go well because there's not the immediacy there. And that's marketing 101, is the immediacy. So it's not that we're setting pins and needles waiting on a tragedy. It's just that's how it's kind of worked out.
I will say, when we do, like, we did autism, we've done breast cancer, there's a lot of criticism in those types of fundraisers.
Is it saying your business is benefiting from it? Is that what they're saying, the criticism? Or what is it?
Just, you could never pick the right charity. You can never, I feel like there's always just some kind of question.
Right. Yeah. And it's not even how you say it or anything like that, but they'll, you can vet a charity until you're blue in the face, and then one bad thing comes out about it and you're the bad guy.
Yeah, because you supported it.
Right. So that's why and also the whole thing of, like, only a certain percentage down the hill gets to the people that need it. And
that's real. In a lot of these big organizations, that's real.
That's 100% real.
Yeah.
And so we realized that kind of early on and decided that if we're going to do it, we're going to connect with the local community that then can actually disperse it to the people that need it and has responsibility and, the local government behind it or something like that, that they know the need. We don't want to tell them their need,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
When the next thing happens in Northern Kentucky, we'll be calling you.
please do.
Because we haven't talked about anything here about something like that. It's all the other parts of the state. I wonder why that is. There's tornadoes now.
Yeah. No, you guys haven't had a whole lot.
Unfortunately, like life happens and stuff will happen. I mean,
Right.
it will,
Right.
Back in the day, we used to have massive floods from the Ohio River, but we built up these flood walls
Sure.
along the city, so that doesn't impact us as much anymore. So,
Well, I mean, you guys have the cut in the hill, and that's pretty tragic as
It is.
of itself.
yeah. Hey, we got a new bridge coming in, so maybe we're doing things. But
Right.
I think, I think it's important to give back to the community and not give back because we're like who we are as humans. Like you're just talking about being a good human. Like that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
like
that's
this
it.
is what life is supposed to be. You're supposed to help somebody next to you, right?
Right.
And I guess in our busy, crazy lives, we lose track of that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited to follow you guys and find out everything. Maybe the 70. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a year when it's 1 million shirts a year. You just never know. You guys might. You just might. If you're buying that $400,000 printer, you better be printing some more shirts.
But I don't know that's my ambition anymore. That's what I was talking about. Is that I don't know that it's my ambition. I think I want to do more away from the business of this particular business and step out into something else. And I don't know what it is yet. Haven't quite figured it out.
Is he going to end up on a stage doing comedy open mic nights? Is that what this is going to be, Joni?
She used to be worried about me getting into politics a little bit, and I've since I say no. So I don't know if that's the next worry or not. I don't.
Is it because you were very passionate about the things and you would share those at home? About you're just not happy about the way things are going that ends up being politics?
No, it's just I think that I don't want to sound too confident or cocky. I think I listen well to people and their needs, and I think that I could translate that better than the representation that we have currently in our limited government where we're at.
It's usually what happens. You give me a lot of entrepreneurs. For the most part, those entrepreneurs have fixed problems a lot.
Right.
And they also have to care about people that are working for them. So those are attributes and things that we need our leaders in the community to have too. A lot of them don't lead with that. And that's on both sides of the aisle. That's all the politics. They just don't. It's frustrating. And Joni's like, don't go here. Don't talk about these things. I get it.
No. Yeah.
So we won't. But I just think that, I wish the leaders would I wish they would lead and live the lives that they keep on telling us we're supposed to.
Exactly.
That's all I wish they would do.
Yep.
Like, I'm not expecting perfection, but just care about us, man. Like, even though they're not going to know my name and they're not going to understand who I am, just come on. Just realize what the average person is going through out here.
Right.
And just care a little bit more. Like, who cares about the power and the money and getting reelected and all this stuff? Like, just try to go back to the roots on what we're supposed to do this together, like being humans and care about the others. And it just doesn't feel like the politicians today care.
No.
It just doesn't to me on both sides of the aisles. And the ones who do care, we're busy out here in the world caring.
Yeah.
And we're not in the positions to make those impacts. It's really, really weird. It's
Yep.
fascinating. So when you figure it out and you fix it from Lexington, Kentucky, you let us know up here.
Hey, I'm never going to figure it out.
Right? Hey, you guys, you're awesome. Thank
Thanks, man.
you
I
guys.
appreciate you
Yeah. You're doing a lot of good. I think it's really good to hear about these moments that you actually care. Because I saw you smiled a lot when you were talking about just your passion and about what you love about the business, but you were emotional when you talked about giving back.
Yeah.
And the moments when people really care and they're honest and true about something, and I think you guys are. I believe it. Don't go out and do a bunch of bad shit now and make me wrong.
I think we've done enough.
What do you want? What do you want Kentucky to be? That's the final question. Since you love it so much, I've never asked that question. What do you want Kentucky?
I am sick and tired of the national stigma of Kentucky, the backward Kentucky, the redneck Kentucky, the fact that folks that are working extremely hard, killing themselves to pull coal out of a mountain, are just ran over. They're just ran over by politicians, by society. They don't have the opportunities down there that we have in central Kentucky even. And I'm a little sick of the entire stigma. So, I post a lot of things online that are our jokes. We get to make fun of ourselves. And that's one of my favorite things to do. Is I like to put on the hillbilly outfit, put on the bib overalls, and carry a jug of moonshine and make a TikTok about it, because we get to laugh at ourselves. And that's what our Instagram says, is that this is one big inside joke for Kentuckians. That's it. This isn't for Ohio to come laugh at us, or Tennessee, whatever else, even though we'll take it. But for me, it's if I can pull that stigma back that we're uneducated hillbillies by any level, by making fun of it, by not being that, by being a presence for Kentucky online, that's what I want to do. And I don't know where you go with that, because we're behind in a lot. And that's for the politicians, again, to figure out, because we're behind in a lot. But for me, I have an online presence. I have a small following that likes what we do. If I can convince those people that, hey, we can laugh at ourselves a little bit and take ourselves a little seriously, then hopefully that softens some of that political divide, some of that stigma. And I mean, she can speak to it. My comments section, it's full of people that do come to our posts because we do have a presence there and say those things. I had a guy say that a couple of days ago. I'm here in Harlan County, Kentucky. I don't have any opportunity. I don't have any help. I don't have this. And why is he coming to me? I'm not real sure on a post that's about fried chicken, honestly. But they feel comfortable enough expressing those things, and I think they're just looking to be listened to, honestly.
It's the same thing that popped off with that song from Oliver Anthony a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
Rich Men North of Richmond.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be exactly right. I'm not sitting here saying I don't even know what the guy believes, but that song hit.
Sure.
And it hit people saying, like, ain't nobody listening to us out here anymore.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You guys are up here doing your thing and playing this wealth thing and all that, but we're down here like grinding and supporting the country and doing the hard shit, and no one cares.
Right.
Even if that's not the reality that no one cares, it's about how you make people feel.
Sure.
And that's what's happening. That's how those people feel. And yeah, so what's your thoughts? He said that you could speak to it. He put you on,
no.
he put you on.
No, the comments section she
Yeah.
can speak to,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, the
she
comment
sees
section.
them all. So
Yeah.
it's a lot sometimes. I mean, you get people in there that not just the mean stuff, but heartbreaking stories or this, that, the other, and creates connection. That's what the whole thing's about.
I think something simple that we did during the pandemic, we painted on the side of our building, everything will be okay. And we have had numerous posts, people commenting, come to us about it. Sorry. Just about how they drive past it every day on their daily commute, on their way to school, anything. And it's just like, I was going through this at this moment, and I saw that.
How'd you know everything was going to be okay?
Mac Miller, the rapper. That was his whole thing, is everything's going to be okay. And I was a pretty big Mac Miller fan myself. So the
But you
pandemic
believed
hit.
it.
I believed it, yeah.
There's a lot of people who didn't.
Yeah.
So why'd you believe it?
We were going, because we knew what we were going through at that moment. When the pandemic hit for us, not to get back in those days, but we sent all of our staff home for 6 weeks. And we said, go home, be safe. We'll pay you. And so they sat at home. They didn't work from home, really, hardly. And we paid them for 6 weeks because we felt that that was the right thing to do to keep them safe, because at that point it was very dangerous, And Joni and I ran the business with two other people, and we stayed in different rooms than one another. It was a weird time to be alive, masked up and everything else. And so during that time, that first kind of 6 weeks of past March 14th or whatever it was, we sold probably more shirts in that 6 week period than ever before. We did about, I think that we did close to $1.5 million in that 6 week period. And it's because people they were on their phones, but they're wanting hope and something to laugh at and something to distract them. And so finally I contacted my buddy that had done a few murals for me. And I said, can you just paint this on the side of the building? Everything's going to be okay. Weird font. Just go for it. I don't care what you do, So we did. And, people have kind of really enjoyed that. And it's kind of become a hallmark of Lexington, driving down Versailles Road and seeing everything will be all right. So that was really it.
But why'd you believe it? You said it's what you were going through, but you believed it.
I think that because personal stuff throughout our life that we've both gone through, kind of hardships in our youth and stuff like that, that I think that I thought to myself, if I can inspire, but also if I can lead with a little bit of humor and go, hey, I can get through this. If I can get through this, anybody can, because I'm weak, man. I'm weak. I can get through this. So I think that was probably.
So it's a mindset even before the pandemic.
Probably trauma. I don't know about a mindset, maybe some past trauma, but yeah. So we had already had a kid out of wedlock and been poor as everything else. So I'm like, everything that when you go through that, I think that you just develop a mindset, like you said, that it will be all right, regardless if we have 2 shekels to rub together or not.
Is it, however, as long as you keep going?
Yep.
That's when everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
If you don't take
you don't,
action, and
right.
you don't, it's not going to be.
No.
Right.
Because you said something, we were like, nobody's coming to save you. Like, is that what your dad? I forget what you said. But I thought you said like, hey, no one's coming to bail you out or save you. Did I make that up?
Like no one's gonna do it for you.
There you go. Same type of thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. You have to do it yourself.
You got to do it yourself every single time, and that's not getting into other podcasters and things, but it's the ultimate responsibility that you have to have, and I think that it's an ultimate responsibility to have that mindset as well.
Yeah. The Painters, you're good. You're good representing the state.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Go down and keep doing what you're doing. Even if you don't want to make T-shirts anymore, I don't know. It's giving you a good life.
Hey, no, I didn't say that. Now.
If he starts
I just want to do something else.
If he starts rapping on TikTok, Joni, if we need to come down and like
I'll
have an
cut him off.
intervention, yeah, it's like, listen, something happened with the account today, guys. It's just not working.
Hey, you might be seeing me like in Hollywood next to Young Gravy or one of these rappers. I don't know. I'm just
He's
saying.
lost his mind. She'll love you forever, I can tell. But please don't go like totally off the deep end.
Oh, no. Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
We'll make sure. Your girls are always watching.
Yes. Well, they're not going to be embarrassed, though, right?
Now, one of them said that.
That's true. The younger prone probably would be.
Right.
I don't know. She might be doing it with you.
Thank you, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being positive.
Sure thing.
Yeah. It's awesome that people need this and the inspiration to know that no matter where you can come from, like you can go do big things. Put your head down working. Go buy a hat or a shirt from them again. So where are they going to go to do that? What website?
TheKYShop.com.
TheKYShop.com. And you can find them on social media everywhere.
Mhm.
And if you want to talk to the mean one who people are leaving bad comments, go follow Rick. If you want to follow the nice one who's really nice to everybody, go follow Joni. Appreciate
it,
you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mhm.